All right, welcome to this interview. I'm Stu Sterling. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about internet marketing, affiliate marketing, uh, AI and stuff like that. And with me today, I've got Lyndon Scott, who is affiliate marketer and PLR creator and overall weird internet marketer, as he likes to
Yep,
be called,
that's me.
coming in with us from Western Australia. So thanks for your time this morning, Lyndon.
No worries. Thank you, man. I appreciate the invite onto your big famous show.
Yeah, it's
So
huge. I'm on the verge of cracking 720 subscribers on my YouTube channel.
hey, that's not bad. It's not bad at all, really. I've got about 300 or so. So
Awesome. Yeah, it if you do it a lot, then I think you can see the growth. But if you do it just casually, kind of like I've been doing it, growth is slow.
yep, that's right.
So yeah, I should introduce your website as well, plrgeek.com.
Yep, that's
And
me.
you've had a couple of PLR article bundle releases in the last couple of months. How's that been going?
Yeah, look, not too bad. It's kind of PLR is a great little space that I never saw myself sort of getting into, but I kind of did because I write articles for people as well, and um, I love creating content, and so I guess I kind of started getting involved with a few people that on Facebook, making connections, and I thought, well, let's see if I can write some articles and write some great content and sell it more to the masses. So, obviously being my first couple of PLR bundles, they've it's a slow start, I guess. It's about building. But yeah, I've had some really good support actually from other more experienced people like yourself, people that have got lists that I wouldn't have made sales without them. So yeah, so far so good. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
that's good. Yeah, I've noticed you've pumped out a couple of good packs there,
Yeah.
and I was happy to promote. Actually, I just saw I got another sale. Like,
I actually saw that too, and I said, you know what, that makes it all worth it doing this interview. You've that's my appearance fee, that little commission you earned for me there. So I appreciate that.
yeah, no worries. Yeah, good. I like to reward people who give time for me. So that's good.
Awesome.
Thank you. So let's go back and talk about a bit about your beginnings in your online marketing journey. So how did you start and when did you start?
So I could probably talk for hours about what I've done and where I started. I mean, back before I've always loved being online and social media and graphic design as well as a little sort of self-taught hobby of mine. So I guess I'm quite naturally sort of creative. I love music and stuff as well. So anyway, I've always dabbled online and loved online stuff. Which is also a bit of an issue sometimes when you got parents and in-laws and that they'll ring me up and say, "Hey, Lyndon, my Gmail's broken. What can you do?" I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm not an IT guy, but I've kind of always been that sort of person in the family because of my love for tech stuff. But basically, it was probably around 2016. I was first sort of running Facebook ads and stuff when I was selling property. So I started running Facebook ads for myself, dabbling a bit there. And even a lot of organic stuff with Facebook back then. It was a lot different, as you probably know. Now you post stuff to a page and zero people see it sometimes. It's a the landscape's changed. So anyway, that's where I started. And then I actually got into e-commerce first. So it's like drop shipping and print on demand. And I pulled the pin on my corporate job, I think at the end of 2017. And, just went into that full on into sort of that print on demand and drop shipping space. So that was kind of where I was. And then it wasn't long after that I got introduced to things like Savage Affiliates by Franklin Hatchett, big YouTuber, guy from New Zealand. So that kind of is what then got me into affiliate marketing and blogging and everything. So that's kind of what's led me to where I am today.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And what was your first taste of success? So did you have any success with selling properties on Facebook, or did you have much success
Yeah,
with
look, a little bit, but I think what happened was basically I got caught up and I was so busy in my corporate job that I kind of stopped doing a lot of those things that I enjoyed, which again, and I was getting paid really well. But I was just so unfulfilled, I just thought, and I'm making these other people so rich. And they were actually great people to work for. It was a really good job, but inside me, I was just unhappy working for someone else and building someone else's empire. So yeah, when I left, I was having success with I was selling car seat covers and things like that to US Marine veterans.
Okay.
So really passionate sort of niche there.
Yeah.
And that was really good until then. I got a letter actually from the US Marine Corps, a legal letter from their legal department saying, hey, you can't use our name, it's trademarked. So that was a learning experience. That was something that I actually totally wasn't aware of. There's a lot of people out there that sell Disney knockoff stuff, and obviously counterfeit and trademark infringing market is huge. And that was not something I never wanted to do. But I was actually doing it without even knowing. But that was my first taste of success. Was sort of, I started selling like $20,000 worth a month of car seat covers, which at that stage I was like really happy with. I was like, wow, like a lot of people are buying this stuff online. So yeah, from there I was hooked.
Awesome. And how much did you have to grind to get that kind of success?
Funnily enough, it wasn't too much then, because I basically I guess part of what made that work for me is that I actually bought that print on demand store off someone for like $4,000.
Okay.
So someone that I knew. So the concept was kind of already proven, and it was a really, really passionate niche, which is something that, as you probably know, if you're selling anything online, it's, people they really have to want what you're selling, So I kind of fell into a bit of luck there. And it goes to show, if you have a great product that resonates with your audience, then it's a heck of a lot easier to sell it. So I think some of the things I tried after that weren't as successful. So maybe I was a bit spoilt initially that I'd sort of landed onto a good thing.
Yeah, that's really good. A lot of people, they try for years and years and don't get anywhere, but
Yeah,
you got off to a good start, maybe.
yeah, that's right.
Okay, cool. What have you tried that hasn't worked so well?
I guess when I sort of started moving away from e-commerce and more to affiliate marketing, and this is still something to this day that, I've got some friends in the space, something that really didn't work and still doesn't work for me is cold messaging people on Facebook. I've tried, and I just I guess I kind of give up a little bit, because what I found is, if you're trying to sell, high ticket affiliate marketing programs or whatever, I've just found that the biggest struggle, and this is probably why a lot of people give up, is that there's no relationship building. So, they say, you get these gurus that say you add people from groups and then hit them with a DM and, hey, how's your business going? And a lot of people are like, who is this person and why are you asking about my business? So I think that's something that really hasn't worked for me. Not to say it can't work, but I guess for me, I've always been, coming from a sales background, I could never really tell you fancy sales techniques on what's going to work. I've always just worked on building a relationship and getting to know people and offering value in that way. So yeah, that's something that's never really worked for me. And I think a lot of people out there are probably finding that's a very difficult approach now as well, because people are sick of getting cold pictures in their DMs on Facebook and whatnot.
Yeah.
And one other thing that didn't really work, which I think again can work, is being sold the dream of things like solo ads and whatnot that are going to get you quick riches and quick returns. So anything I've ever tried that has had this promise of, you know, do this and you'll make 10 grand a month in the next 30 days,
Yeah.
those things don't seem to work. Not to say that solo ads don't work, but they take a lot of work, I think. Do you know what I mean? So anything that's too good to be true, I've found has never worked for me. You know, we all chase shiny objects sometimes, don't we?
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, the internet marketing niche is pretty rife with, you know, the get rich quick kind of
Yeah.
offers and everything. It's hard to know if the seller is, you know, telling the truth or blowing smoke up our backside, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you could give some advice to some newbies starting out right now, what would you tell them?
That's a good one. And it's pretty easy for me to answer because it's something that I still don't even take this advice as much as I should. But 100%, if I was to start over again, say, you know, 4 or 5 years ago when I left my job and went into this, it would be to stick to one thing for a certain amount of time. And don't give up at the first sign of failure or a struggle. So, you know, whether it's blogging, which, you know, something like blogging, which I absolutely love, that takes time. But even if it's e-commerce or affiliate marketing, just stick to one path. So say, for example, TikTok's a new thing. That really wasn't a thing when I first started. You know, obviously it's only really been the last couple of years that TikTok has blown up. Don't post a couple of videos and say, oh shit, I didn't get any views, I'm just going to give up. You know, commit to 3 months of you know, posting 3 times a day, something like that. And first month you might see nothing, and I think that's the hardest part to get through. But then all of a sudden your efforts just compound so much in month 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then before you know it, you've blown up. So yeah, number one advice would be to try and avoid the shiny objects. They're always going to be there. You can always change later on, but make sure you give something everything you've got before you give up. You know, there's no shame in trying something new or changing path, but just don't do it until you've dedicated some epic effort towards that. So yeah, that is the number one advice I would give anybody starting out.
Yeah, that's a good point. You really need to give it your best shot, no matter what path you choose.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a sensitive topic, not topic, but, you know, like, say you decide on one path to go, say blogging, you give it your best shot for like 3 to 6 months, and you still maybe you're still not, you know, seeing results that you thought you'd get. You know, when the hard part is, you know, when do you kind of decide, do I give this method up and go for something else, like, or do I stick with it because I believe that it's going to work? You know, that's kind of, I've struggled with that, and sometimes I still do, you know, even though I've been doing this stuff for more than a decade. You know,
Yeah.
if I find something's not working anymore, you know, how do I decide I should drop that and go for something else? You know, that's kind of a hard,
Yeah.
I think,
And I think
everyone deals with.
I think, you know, on that note, it's about, you need to, I guess, speak to people that have been successful and work out really what the benchmarks are. For instance, if you've posted 3 videos a day to TikTok for 3 months and you are seeing 0 success, then yes, you are doing something wrong. But if you are blogging for 3 months and you're not seeing any success, people will be like, oh, 3 months, geez, give it give it another 6 months, and then see how you go. So, different paths do take, there's different expectations and different, I guess, sandbox periods where you're not going to see any success. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that, something like blogging, though, is going to be a much longer term business than being a TikTok superstar or whatever, because, one algorithm change or something, or you get your account banned on TikTok and everything's gone. So there's pros and cons for all. But yeah, I think it's about working out what are the expectations realistically, what are those benchmarks for whatever you're doing, email marketing or whatever, and just setting your realistic expectations.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, consider the benchmark in like the standard kind of time frame. Maybe you need to chat with people actually doing it, and ask what time frame they can expect to see certain results.
It's like testing, say for instance, e-commerce. If you're launching a product, and you don't get a sale after $10 ad spend, well, you just haven't tested that enough. So you really need to spend, say, $100 on ads to get the feedback and read the data. So it's all just about setting those benchmarks, I think. And it's pretty easy to establish because there's so many Facebook groups out there for every different niche and every different business model, and just be active and ask those questions so you know what to expect when you're heading into something.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think everyone starting out should really consider that. And and I think because there's so many promises of getting rich quick, $30,000 in 17 hours kind of thing. It's just it's not realistic.
There's too much of that, unfortunately. There's just too much of that. So you've got to be strong to avoid some of that sometimes. Even myself, I see something going, oh gee, that looks pretty good, and I'm like, oh, hang on a minute, no, don't do it, Lyndon. Just stick to what you're doing. So it's not easy, but you just got to try your hardest to stay consistent.
Just give us 5 seconds. My heater is beeping at me.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, there we go. All right, so let's move on. So we mentioned your PLRgeek.com website before.
Yep.
You're working on that. You've got some plans for it, I guess. Tell us about that and any other projects you're working on.
Yeah, so PLR Geek is kind of an exciting one, and that's kind of more just, I'm probably going to continue, not too many, but continue doing individual like PLR launches, I guess. But it's just sort of a bundle of 10, 20 articles, in a niche that's well researched and that I think, I guess, PLR buyers will get value from. So I'll probably continue that slowly. But in terms of PLR, I'm working on something else with a friend of mine who's also in Japan, who I met through this whole PLR and internet marketing space. We're putting together like a monthly membership, sort of in the personal development, self-growth kind of niche, where people pay a monthly low cost to get consistent PLR content sent to them. So that's something that's really exciting. It won't be under the PLR Geek brand, but if people want to know about that, they can opt in on that PLR Geek page, and obviously I'll promote it to my list when it's ready to go. But that's something that's exciting, and I think it's a good little business to firstly to get into if you want to buy PLR and build a business around that. There's so many opportunities. And I think having that membership and that focus is going to be a lot of fun, building that community. And that's what we want to do with that, is build a good community. And then other stuff I'm working on, I've just acquired actually an old blog, kind of in the online marketing, course creation, blogging sort of niche. And that's got some really good quality backlinks and really high authority. but it kind of was neglected. So the traffic has dropped right down. A lot of old articles on there. I'm upgrading. I've got like 10 writers at the moment that are writing guest posts for that site for me to really try and reinvigorate it. So that's a little bit of a longer term side hustle that I'm sort of got going there, because I really love blogging and SEO and all that. I think I think that's a great long-term business for someone to get into. And it kind of connects with that PLR as well. PLR is a great way to get good quality content that you can then repurpose and use on a blog and things like that. So lots of words and lots of writing happening behind the scenes, pretty much.
Yeah, well, internet, I mean, content makes the internet go round. So
yeah, sure does.
yeah, there's always going to be a demand for content. Just a quick question: where did you find that blog that you purchased?
It's a really funny sort of story, right? So a couple of years ago, I searched something like what's the best niche for an online course or something like that, and I came across this site, and I bought this lady's course, and then it was all hosted on Kajabi, right? And then something happened and I lost access to the course, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just email support. So for about the last year, I've been emailing support and never ever got a response. And I was really I was pretty frustrated by that. And I was like, far out, how can you run a business and do this? And then literally like last week, so I probably 5 or 6 emails over the past year.
Yeah.
And it sort of became more of just the principle of it. You know what I mean? I was like, come on, like, give a bit of support here. So I got nothing. But then literally like, it was only about a week or two ago, I got an email from her. But it said, hey, so it was a big email to her list. Hey, I'm closing this down. I'm focusing on other businesses. And I was like, oh, really? Like you do that. Surely you've seen my emails. And then I randomly went to the website and I noticed it was dead. So then I went to GoDaddy and I typed in the name and it was for sale, the domain name. So she was she totally just sent an email saying, I'm closing this business down, see you later. And then literally she closed it all down. So I thought, oh, well, all right, I'm going to buy that because I knew it was a good domain. I knew it had good authority. And so it was really just by chance.
Wow.
So what I'm doing is I'm obviously looking at then what backlinks it's got to what articles, and I'm recreating content and trying to revive it and maintain that authority that it's got.
Right. So you just bought the domain?
Yeah, it was just an expired domain. It was like 600 and something US dollars. So it wasn't a huge acquisition, but at the same time, it's quite a bit to buy, I guess, a domain name for.
Yeah, but
it was really
an established domain. Then
it was really just by chance that I knew the blog site because I had bought from that site, and it's the same niche that I operate in. And I thought this is a great opportunity. And the good thing is because it's got quite high authority, a lot of bloggers and that say, oh, geez, that's a DR60, if you know what that means. So then they're happy to contribute an article for free in exchange for a backlink. So I've got 10 people right now writing articles for the site for me. And obviously they get a link to their site, and they're trying to grow their blog as well. So it's good. I've all of a sudden got all these great contacts now that I'm working with, and we can all help each other. So yeah, strange kind of story, but it worked out okay in the end.
Yeah, that's a cool story.
Still never got access to the course I paid for, but that's all right. So
yeah, geez, I thought I was bad at customer service. Sometimes.
Yeah, I was really disappointed by that, to be honest, because I thought, things happen, and I'm not a rude kind of customer service troll. I'm not going to email and say you've done the. I was so polite. Because things happen, things happen, and as long as people do the right thing, then it's all good. But I never heard back, and every now and then when I think of it, I was like, oh, I'm going to email them again. But yeah, let's see if I can make some money with the website.
Yeah. You'll have to let us know how it goes.
yeah, I'll definitely do a case study on it, you know.
Yeah,
Acquiring an expired domain, which, you know, for those that are in blogging, obviously if something's got history with Google, you know, it's meant to be, you know, you bypass that initial phase of building authority and getting noticed by Google, I guess, to put it simply. So hopefully all the new content and that, we can get that ranking pretty quickly and start building an email list and start monetizing it again. So yeah,
very cool.
it'd be a good case study if I can make it work.
Yeah, sounds good. All right.
Yeah.
So speaking about content creation, everyone's talking about AI, GPT, and all that.
Yeah.
Um, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Look, I'm actually like I don't know what the name for it is, an original user of Jasper, right? Which started as Conversion AI, then it changed to Jarvis, and then Disney wanted to sue them for that, so now they're called Jasper. So they were probably, you know, I've got an unlimited boss mode plan, which I don't think you can get anymore. Even though I've started using Chat GPT quite a bit, I'm like, I'm not going to let go of my Jasper plan because it really is a great piece of software, and they've the ease of use is really good. So in saying that, yeah, I really think AI is great. However, I think the most important thing is, especially with, you know, if you're trying to rank a blog, you know, you've got helpful content updates and whatnot from Google. Basically, they just want content that helps people and satisfies search queries. And I think if you are just copying and pasting straight from AI to your blog or whatever, I don't think it's going to work in your favor long term. So I love AI, say, for instance, if I'm going to write an article about something, just to get me kick-started, you know. You know, I might have kids screaming in the background. I've got the dog over there, and I'm like, I just can't focus on this. I can't start. You know, I need my creative juices to be flowing. And I think the best way to do that is to have text. And, you know, and I go through and edit and rework. So, and I think that would be my recommendation to anyone if they're using AI is definitely put your own spin in it, because something I've found is it can be quite repetitive. And I could even read text now and say, yeah, that's written by an AI. And not to say that it's bad, it reads really well, but there's little things, patterns and things that are repetitive, and it lacks a bit of character and personality. And that adds a bit of fluff into content, which I don't think is necessary. So yeah, I think AI is fantastic, but don't rely on it solely just yet to create good quality content. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm with you there. Yeah, if you're just gonna copy and paste it, yeah, it's not gonna really work. And I think a lot of people are worried if they're gonna get penalized by Google for using AI content if they're, you know, trying to rank in the search engines.
Yeah.
I actually just read an article this morning because I was wondering about that, and Google has changed their stance on it, on AI content. And I can't remember when, maybe last month or December last year. Anyways, recently, they're now saying instead of we don't recommend AI content, they're saying we don't recommend AI content created for the purpose of manipulating search results.
Yeah.
So, and then they go on about things to avoid, or hang on, things to focus on in your content. And the number one thing is write for the user. You know, don't write for the search engines. So I think, as you said, AI is a great base. You know, AI content's really good to start with, but you're going to have to add your own spin, give it a human touch, and make it, you know, useful and kind of enjoyable. I don't know if that's the right word, but
yeah,
for the user.
yeah, that's right.
So
And I think and I've seen some people say, oh, yeah, am I going to lose my job as a writer? Or someone saying, oh, I shouldn't have to pay you as much now because you use AI. But I think if you're writing for a specific niche, you need to be able to evaluate that AI content.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to have those skills to say, yes, that is good, we will use that, or no, that's not good. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's still a lot of skill in evaluating and editing and repackaging that AI content. Because I've had that. Obviously, I'll generate some stuff and I'll say, oh, shit, that's a really good paragraph. And then I'll say, oh, no, that one's no good. So there's still a lot of skill involved in doing that. It's just changed the way that writers and content creators need to work. And it's funny with this, though, as well. Recently, there's spawned a lot of software that detects AI now.
Yeah.
So I guess they're probably a bit biased. They're probably trying to say, oh, be careful of AI. You better pay for our software to detect if something is made with AI. So it's kind of like you also got to take all of that with a grain of salt. It's like, yeah, Google's changed their stance. Is it necessarily bad? I mean, if it answers a question, and if someone who's got skills and knowledge in a niche can actually say, well, I wouldn't change that content at all because it answers someone's query, well, then why is it bad if AI created that?
That's true.
So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where it goes anyway. It's changing so fast, so rapidly, isn't it? Everything. So
yeah. And I watched a video by Tom Bilyeu, from, what is it, quantum theory or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said we're now like at the elbow of the curve on AI. So from here on out, it's just gonna like
crazy,
incredible.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting to see where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, at first when you see the power of it, it can be quite scary. You think, oh crap, how can I compete with AI, But I think we have to learn how to actually work with it.
Yeah.
And I think marketers are definitely going to have to start using it to keep up with other marketers because they're going to be using it,
Yeah, that's
so
right.
it's a little bit of an extra thing that we're going to have to learn, but that kind of comes with this kind of business. You always have to be learning some new tech.
That's right. I mean, you see all the AI image generator stuff. And I think this is a great example. There's people that are selling courses on how to create these great images with AI. And I think that's pretty good, because I know that if I went to, say, a Mid-Journey or whatever and typed in something, it'd probably come up with some horrible sort of result. So you really do need to learn the prompts and learn how to use these things. So I don't see a problem really with people then selling their knowledge, saying, because they're almost like, we might see in the future someone, their job role is an AI engineer or something. So they know how to control the AI. They know how to get the best out of this technology. And that's a learned skill. That's something they've spent time, crafting that skill. So, I just hope those Boston Dynamics robots don't take over, though, because they're kind of scary, I'm not sure if you've seen those dogs and stuff. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
They can do backflips and all that.
That is crazy. Yeah. So yeah, definitely exciting and maybe a little bit scary times ahead, I think, with all this AI technology.
Yeah. But I think as you're saying at the beginning of our talk here, like business is personal. You got to create that relationship. So no matter what business you're running, I think if you can add that human touch and personal touch with it, you can see a lot better results than having like a faceless, cold, AI generated business. You still need So if anyone who's worried about, oh, AI is going to replace my job, or, you know, I can't compete with AI. AI can't replace a human, I think. And
Yeah.
people are going to continue to buy from humans, right? So
That's exactly right.
you need to still have that human presence in your business, I think.
Maybe, you know, in another lifetime, not in our lifetime, probably, you know, 100 years or so, maybe the robots will have emotions, and they can mimic human personality and emotions, but I think that's pretty far off. I hope anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's wrap up right about now. We've been yapping on for about 40 minutes. So
Awesome.
just want to say thanks again, Lyndon. We've covered
No
a lot of good,
worries.
juicy stuff in today's chat. So once again, can you tell people where they can find your stuff? And
Yeah. So yeah, plrgeek.com. You know, that's just a basic little opt-in form, and that just joins my email lists, you know. And I don't do the hard sell or anything, and I send out probably not as many emails as I should. You know, but that's where I sort of communicate, and yeah, you know, I like to send out light-hearted, kind of funny stuff, talking about things like PLR and writing and content and blogging and affiliate marketing and all that. So yeah, if anyone's interested, love to have you join my little list at plrgeek.com.
cool. And when this goes on YouTube, I'll put the link in the description to your website. So easy
Awesome.
access for people to get to your site.
Beautiful.
Anyway, thanks again.
No worries. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, maybe in the future when you get some more projects up and running, you can let us know about those as well, and we can
Yeah.
chat about them again. Anyway,
Awesome. Thank you so
cool.
much, man. Great
No
chatting with you.
worries. Yeah. So to all the viewers out there, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe for more good content like this to help you with your online business. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Thanks, Lyndon. Have a good one, mate.
Thanks, man. See ya.